And now we get the opportunity to fix a glitch I've already caused. I skipped past recognizing some of the dignitaries that are in our audience today. So I'd like to, Dennis Carpenter, past commander of the Ventura County Sheriff's Department, Hueneme resident, son of Orvine and Georgia Carpenter. It's an honor to have you here, Dennis. We have Brigadier General Tony Vellante and his wife Barbara here. We'd like to Then we have Stan and Annette Block. Stan's president of the Navy League and Channel Islands Council. Welcome. Helen Brandt, who is here, which is a long-standing family's been here since, what, 1918? And they had a grocery store here. Welcome, Helen. Dorothy Ramirez's sister, Isabella, is here. And then we have past Harbor Commissioner Arlene Frazier. We have the Miranda family in the back, who is the Mirandas, the government that first started here in Hueneme. So welcome. Bard family. We have Joanna Bard Newton here, who turned 100 on November 12th. Georgia Newton Poulos, or Georgia Bard Newton Poulos here. Stand up, Georgia. Travers Bard Newton here. And then we have Victoria. Stand up, Victoria. Newton. Again, the head and we have Tracy Sasson from the Hueneme Chamber of Commerce. Are you still here? Donna. Donna's from the Oxnard Harbor District, and Donna helps out the museum and a great deal. We thank Donna for coming and sharing Jess with us. Is there any captains, sergeant majors, Master Chief John? You see, we have a couple Master Chiefs retired here for Chief Daniels. Did I miss anybody? All right, now we can proceed with the program. And again, I apologize, I'm learning. Next year, we'll have the People Making a Difference on the first Saturday in December, and it'll be at 11 o'clock. And so if you'll just remember that, and I can tell you just a little bit, 2 of the people, or 3 of the people that will be awarded next year are in this audience, so I'll leave you with that. And now I'd like to introduce Mayor Tom Figg again to speak on behalf of Orvine.
Madam Clerk, wherever you might be, I thought we had a limit of only 1 harbor commissioner that could attend at one time. Is that? We've got one over there. Oh, an employee, I'm sorry. You're not quite up there yet. All right, we'll make an exception this time. Staff. Okay, so thank you so much for coming out and honoring people in our community, people that mean so much to us. And forgive me, Jim, I don't know when you guys kind of crossed over back in the 90s when you left, but I think this is the largest crowd we've had since the RV resort hearings. Remember those? But everybody had banners saying, "Kill those guys." Remember that? Okay, well, hopefully we're over those days. This recognition for both of these gentlemen is so long overdue and so well deserved. I'm here really to share a bit of history about Orvine. As I mentioned before, I've been here a bit, but half of my life has been spent working for the city. And so, as I mentioned, I had the privilege of working with the greatest leaders I think the city has ever seen. We'll get into that a little bit more, but so my perspective is from that of a former employee, a current council member, having shared a similar role that they did, and more importantly, as a friend. So it's coming from the heart. Orvine, 33 years on the council. Pretty amazing. He had 2 stints that stretched the period from 64 to 96, 4 times mayor, 33 years. He has the distinction of having the longest service of any councilman. During that period of time that he served, the city grew by nearly 50% in terms of population, in terms of its physical element. Why is that important? That's because Orvine has been instrumental in making our community the clean community that it is. Second of all, what's important, and if you don't like how it turned out, you know who to blame. So, well done, Orvine. All right, well, I'm going to give you a few of his notable accomplishments while he served as a council member. He helped double the size and the cargo capacity of the Harbor District with the city's first urban renewal project in the entire county. He helped reshape the entirety of the city south of Hueneme Road through a series of state-funded redevelopment projects. He instituted systematic building code enforcement, property maintenance, housing rehab programs that has been mentioned has made us the clean community that we are. He assisted in renovating Hueneme Beach. Some may remember the sorry state of Hueneme Beach back in the 60s and the 50s. He was instrumental in converting the ditch into the Bubbling Springs Recreation Corridor. He upgraded the city's streetscapes, changed the entire visual complexion of this community. Very much, we're proud of the fact that when you cross the line, you know you entered Port Hueneme. Yes, there were days that we weren't the best of friends, I understand. But Jim, as well as Orvine, were instrumental in crafting a series of settlement agreements that provide for the revenue sharing arrangement between the two entities. It links us physically at the hip. The district's success, the harbor's cargo operations are the city's success. And so thank you so much for providing the leadership to overcome those bumps in the road, so to speak. Finally, Orvine, you were here when we encountered the disposal of the Civil Engineering Laboratory, the first naval installation on the West Coast that was decommissioned, disposed of under the BRAC process. And that worked to the end benefit of the harbor. So thank you very much for that leadership. And perhaps the most notable accomplishment, or at least recognition we have for Orvine, he is by far the longest storyteller in Port Hueneme history. Okay, so that was council service. Now we're going to talk a little bit about community. Just as Jim, Orvine and his bride, Georgia, have long been members of a number of civic organizations. Sadly, a lot of our organizations have kind of died out. And that's something that, as council, we need to resurrect. But you were involved in so many of those organizations, many of them Jim was likewise part of. the Masons, the Bard Mansion, the Ray Pruder Library, Wainimi Beautiful, Harbor Days, and on and on and on. So your distinction isn't just council service. Orving's civic engagement and activism was acknowledged by being named Citizen of the Year in 1985 and having the Port Hueneme Community Center named in his honor. Now, if memory serves me, you were one of the first honorees to be given that distinction of having a facility named in your honor while you're still living. Now, when I think about that, I'm not sure I want to highlight that on my resume, but it was well deserved. What makes him tick? What makes great leaders tick? In my mind, Orving was one of the 3 greatest leaders the city has ever seen. He shares with 2 other giants, Ray Pruder and Doral Wright. Together, those 3 gentlemen, Orving, Doral, and Ray, served this city for 66 years. Now, why did these folks serve so long? What was their motivation? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Selflessness, dedication to community, not to self. So what are the attributes of leadership? Vision, compassion, inspiration. They never put themselves above others. They always recognize people before they recognize themselves for accomplishments. They lead by example, personal integrity, ethical behavior, and a profound sense of humility. Orving possesses all of those traits, but what distinguishes him from the other community leaders is his soft-spoken persona, his unassuming nature. He also has a canny way of disarming you with endless stories that bring humor to every imaginable situation. Against all odds, it's one thing to talk about all the wonderful times and the accomplishments when we're all working together, but it's an entirely different road in the face of adversity, and that's when leadership really comes to the forefront. Orving served on the council during a very controversial and divisive period of time in the city's history, and it forever changed the political landscape of this community. And I'm speaking of the ill-fated RV resort, the beach assessment district, which some people think of as the view tax. Those were very difficult times. All of those of us that were involved took our share of arrows, but none more so than the council, who put themselves in harm's way for what they believed to be in the community's best interests. I know this was terribly painful for you, Orving. You gave so much to the city, and then shortly after all that nonsense, you vacated the seat, and you vacated a council that was then divided and a community that was disgruntled. And that's no way to go out after 33 years. Personal musings. You're a giant among all men. As Jim, you served in 3 wars. World War II, Korea, Vietnam. A devoted family man, a community supporter, and in my view, standing tall as an elected official in the face of adversity, not shying away from the challenge. When the political landscape began to change in the 90s, so did the city's stability and sense of purpose. To this very day, we continue the struggle to find solid ground. When I considered running for council in 2014, the first person I turned to was Orving, a man I deeply admire and respect, and his response was predictable. First, he said, "Without question, Tom, I'll support and help you in any way I can for you to reach your goal." He then launched into a long-winded story, his love for Port Hueneme and the lessons learned. Several hours later, he concluded by saying, "Tom, we need to work on your demeanor and delivery." For those of you who may not know me personally, I've been known to be abrasive from time to time. The total opposite of Orvine, the soft-spoken gentleman. Yet our passion and our devotion to Port Hueneme are values that we hold in common. Orvine, thank you for your confidence in me and supporting me that way. As for the demeanor and the deliver, I'm still working on it. Your shoes are hard to fill, so give me some time. What about the couple? We all know that behind every great man is an even greater force, the matriarch. Georgia is the person behind the curtain who quietly steers and corrects the behavior of her partner. As the matriarch, Georgia stays out of the limelight while tending to far more noble pursuits, raising a family, providing a home, and making the patriarch look good. Orvine and Georgia, married for 71 years, have raised 3 children, and they in turn have fathered 6 grandchildren and 9 great-grandchildren. I'm still getting through my first set of kids. I congratulate you for that too. Their formula for success, no matter what each spouse does, they must together strive to be faithful, honest, and respectful to one another. Damn good advice. I wish I had it 30 years ago before I was married 3 times. In closing, how have the Carpenters influenced my life? Orvine, you're a man of honor, impeccable character. You exude integrity, trustfulness, and courage. Georgia, the devoted spouse whose wisdom and subtle diplomacy has raised a loving family and allowing Orvine to take all the credit. I know the last few years have been extremely painful for you too. You have had to endure the passing of dear family members. I feel your pain, but I salute your strength. Finally, I am forever indebted and grateful for having known both of you. Together, we share that common vision and love for this community, and you've done so much. I'm sorry. This honor is so long overdue, and I'm so grateful that we've had a chance to share it with you. I love you both. God bless. Thank you. Oh, I have a plaque, but we'll get to that.
And now I'd like to introduce 2 of Orvine's granddaughters, Janelle Anderson and Megan Hamill. Thank you very much.
Man, that's not fair. I know. We can't do that right before we're supposed to come up here, and then we have to keep it together.
Yeah, very hard because obviously we're here to.
She's Janelle.
Yes, sorry, Janelle. We're here to speak about our mama, also known as Georgia Carpenter. She's mother of 3. Uncle Jerry, Dennis, and Mom, Jan. No, sorry, very hard. Wish they could be here. Going in age, Megan, John, and then myself. I know. I'm actually older than Jeff, but that's okay. She's still tell. Thank you. And then 9 great-grandchildren. I'll get into names, but I probably mess it all up. So 9 great-grandchildren. We could sit here all day, and we can talk about you, Mama. Actually, about both of you, but I'll say like two of the main stories for me that I have in my heart is you always instilled on us the importance of family and family trips, and every year going to Tahoe.
And as a woman, I look and I go, thank you for the things that you taught my dad to be as a husband and what is appropriate, so that I could then learn those things. So, Mama, Papa's career and who he is would be nothing without you, because you have been there the entire time. So we love you so much. We're so proud of you guys, and we're really blessed to call you our family.
I'd like to introduce Jackie Irwin, and I have to mention the proclamation that Jackie brings up. Her staff has done a marvelous job on that proclamation, and I'd like to thank you, and I'm also going to thank Kelly Lawrence, too. The two ladies really helped to make that happen, and they're great ladies. So,
Well, as we've heard, Orvine and Georgia have distinguished themselves over the course of their long and productive lives through patriotic services, community leadership and engagement, and faith-inspired good works. But very most importantly, you have been the matriarch and the patriarch of a big, loving family, and I think that is your greatest legacy. To have your grandchildren come up and speak so fondly about how you have inspired them is really a legacy. The city of Port Hueneme would not be the same without all the outstanding work and service that the carpenters have contributed to this area. They are a huge part of the city's history, and it is an honor today to be able to present them with this proclamation to celebrate their achievements and thank them for all the good work and sacrifice they have made. Thank you.
now we'll have Captain Rose. Please thank your staff.
Thank you very much. So, for being in Georgia, it's my pleasure also to provide this honor on behalf of the Board of Supervisors. Now, Orvine was a Marine, and I don't know if there's anybody going to be singing the Marine for him, but this I can tell you, it won't be me. Now, thank you. See, there's a little subtle difference between the CB hoorah and the Marine. It's a little more diaphragm, I think. Thanks, Dennis. I appreciate that assist. So, when I read through the resolution, and once again, I'm not going to read the whereases, but what jumped off the page for me on this one, and it's been talked about, is service. Service.
Orvine, I've got the fellow that came from Hot Springs Village, law professor, governor, and president of the United States to write you a Georgia letter. And it reads, to the Honorable Orvine Carpenter and Georgia Carpenter, Dear Orvine and Georgia, I want to congratulate you on receiving the People Making a Difference in the City of Fort Hueneme Award. This honor is a testament to your many years of service and commitment to improving the lives of those in your community. You have my best wishes for every happiness in the years to come. Sincerely, Bill Clinton, William Jefferson Clinton. So this is the letter, and there's the envelope, and I love the postage. I'd also like to mention that one of the things we have at the museum is a big outreach to the youth in our community. And I've always been a believer in the fact that role models are a significant part of helping kids get along. And we have 4 role models that we have their histories in the museum in a storyboard form, so when the kids come through, one of them is going to say, hey, I could be like him or her. And one of those people here in the audience that we've asked is Dennis Carpenter. Couldn't think of a better role model with the history that he has in the area. And I wanted to let everyone know that Dennis is following in his father's traditions. And another family here is Rosalie and Bill Stewart, their daughter, Lieutenant Colonel Rosemary Stewart O'Hare. She's also in there. And those are some interesting stories, so I'm throwing that at the end. Now we'll have the star attraction. Commander Bill Stewart will now sing the Marine Corps hymn.
All the Montezuma, the shores of Tripoli, we'll fight our country's battles in the air, on land, and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marine.
Tom, would you like to present the officer?
You don't really want me to do this again, do you? Why don't we settle for a
You
photo
got
op?
it.
And I need you to stand.
Amy. Beverly still here?
Oh, okay.
And as you saw when you came into the government center here today, you saw a picture of Master Chief Daniels and Orvine and Georgia Carpenter. We've already, Mayor Tom, gotten rid of that god-awful tattered picture they had in the Carpenter Center. And Anna made sure she got that one up. So we have your picture already gracing the walls of the community center. And you'll also be in the museum and along with your pal, the chief. Now, we'd like to, this is from, these are people that help at the museum. Amy Bruner, Johnny Adamson, Beverly Kelly. So we had a friend who used to be. Do take the photos of them, and now we're going to present you with these that that you can have, and Chief, you can put it over your bed and look at it. So if you give those to them, we'd like to say that in appreciation of everything you've done. And thank you. Okay, I'd like to thank the city council people that are here, Councilman John Sharkey, Councilman Sylvia Schnapps, Chief of Police Andrew Salinas. Thank you, Rod Butler, my savior, City Manager, Anna Henley, and so I was asked to mention this as we adjourn. Again, I'd like to thank Jackie Irwin and Kelly Long and Captain Quinn and yes, Ramirez for gracing our presence, and my friend John Flynn. But in closing, I'd like to say the City of Hueneme has a senior holiday luncheon that's comes up on the 12th of December. That's for all seniors. And the tickets are available at the community center and can be purchased from Anna is usually there or one of her staff. So thank you for participating in this event. And come again next year. It'll be at the Orvine Carpenter Community Center. And thank you again. There's sandwiches and cookies and water. So thank you. Thank you for